Hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday. I'm back, and this is episode 2 of the Bird in the Hand podcast. Posted a couple clips last week. Obviously, posted my long form. I'm a little bit late today, or this week, I should say. My only excuse is that it's nice out, and so I've been outside. So my apologies. I told you I was going to keep the schedule, and I've lied to you on the very first week of this. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about this week. Let's talk about a couple of things. And when I say let's talk, I want all of y'all to sit at home and just listen a little bit. You know, as per usual, in life, I like to talk about things that I haven't really looked into too much. So without further ado, let's talk about Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's interview. So here's the deal. I didn't watch it. Am I going to watch it? Hell no. Why wouldn't I watch it? Because why would I watch it? You know, like, come on. Let's be realistic. What do I care? You know, I have been a big proponent of people who are rich and famous, having their money for a specific reason. And I understand that their life is hard, right? And that's why they deserve their money. I've always backed them, whether it be Paris Hilton or whether it be Prince Harry. You know, your life is difficult. You know, you go through things that I can't fathom on a daily basis. Your life is in the headlines. Every mistake you make is looked at by people and scrutinized by people. And you get it, if you're here in America, right as you get to the cash register at the supermarket, you just see it splashed on there. Or nowadays, that way I don't sound too old, you see it on Instagram headlines. But I don't care that your life is hard. Like, I don't. Like, you don't need to go out and give me this interview and say, man, oh man, it was really, really difficult. I felt really like, people were against me. So on, so forth. Yeah, we get it. That's why you have money, right? Like, you don't see Bill Gates coming out here and going, well, people really hate me because I'm one of the richest men on earth. You don't see Elon Musk saying that. You don't see these people saying that. They work hard. That's their sacrifice. They put in time that you and I are not willing to put in. What do they get out of it? Unlimited wealth. Harry and Meghan, from what I understand, are like, oh, life is so hard for us that we have to sit here and live on Princess Diana's inheritance money. Motherfuckers, that's more than what I probably will make in my life. I don't think anybody deserves to go through depression and difficult times, and that, especially nowadays, that's something that should be talked about. Talk about it with a therapist and amongst yourselves, not with Oprah on fucking national television. Also, what did you think you were getting into? You're going to one of the historically most racist countries of the world, if not historically the most racist country in the world, and you expect them to accept you because you're black, you're African American? No. They're not going to accept you. Come on. You married the rebel prince, who's been all gallivanting and, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And you just expect that everything's going to be fine. You expect that, you're going to get in there and they're just going to be like, well, the color of your baby isn't going to matter to us. And you guys everything's going to be fine. No, that's not the way it works. It's just not the way it works. Also, you're millionaires, both of you, many times over. Your life is supposed to be difficult to get there. Nobody has an easy run of it. Like, that's the thing. We can all sit here and look at these people and say, wow, Kim Kardashian, lucky her. No. Like, somehow, some way, she was able to take advantage of things. She saw the social media avenue before we did. She understood that sex tapes were good. I kid. But, who knows what it is? But they've been able to get to this stage in life. It's not luck that gets you millions of dollars. If you're saving, then slow incremental saving is what gets you millions of dollars when you're like 65, right? But if you want millions of dollars now, then that requires $1 million effort, you know? But it also comes with millions of dollars of repercussions. And you just like, I mean, like, I'm so tired of this. I'm so sick and tired of a culture that celebrates them for sitting there with Oprah as if they're not, you know, somehow getting endorsements from this, as if they're somehow not making money from this, as if, like, this is somehow a big, massive thing where they're just doing this out of the goodness of their hearts in order to shed light on things. Like, that's not what this is. This is a self-aggrandizing moment for them where they can sit there and just go, oh, woe is me. Now, once again, I haven't watched it, but I don't need to watch it. I don't need to listen to this crybaby attitude that we have gotten in the world. And I don't know why people are celebrating them. You know, like, since when does the world need to celebrate when you go to a shrink and talk about your depression and your suicidal thoughts? Like, that's not what's supposed to be celebrated. Your friends are supposed to celebrate that. You celebrate that. You internalize that. You go, I made it through this. And because I made it through this, now I feel like a stronger person and I feel better and I can move on. But if you think for a second that you need to go out there and just say, oh, I was suicidal and I got through it and yay, cheer for me, like, fuck that. And fuck you for even putting that out there. Like, I'm tired. I am so tired of that. Like, and somebody that sits here, that sits here, so somebody that deals with, you know, depressed thoughts on a regular basis, this non-motivated whatever. You know, I'm not asking for people to cheer for me when I get through it. You know, I need to get through it for myself. That's all. That's it. So that's the intro. It's an unpopular opinion, but that's where I'm at on that. Celebrities, stop telling me about how hard your life is. That's the sacrifice that you make for being where you are. You know, and quite frankly, I don't give a fuck. And the people that celebrate you, just whatever. So, yesterday I was talking with my friend Rich, who I do the Snowpiercer recap with, and I'm going to kind of steal a bit from that and talk on that next. So, in case you guys haven't heard, Blake Griffin is going to the Brooklyn Nets. Great. Just another person on the Nets. But let me ask you this. Which player of the 4 players on the Nets was able to win on his own? Which of those 4 superstars is not what nowadays we call a beta male cuck? I mean, let's be realistic. None of them are the alphas that Kyrie Irving called Kevin Durant. All of them need to take the second. And 2 of them haven't even been successful taking the second chair, right? You know, at least Kyrie Irving won by being LeBron's little brother, and Kevin Durant quit on the fucking OKC so that way he could go with the Golden State Warriors. And, you know, oh, I know he led the team, but come on, let's be realistic. Like, you know, the collection of the team led the team, and the collection of the team was better than him. So, like, really, he's the beta to the team, you know. And yeah, so what? He was able to pull them out a couple of times, but you know, he's nothing without the Golden State Warriors. James Harden never won. Blake Griffin never won. You know, it's the ultimate beta male team. You know, at the end of the game, they'll have alpha male egos without having the actual personality of it. And to take this step further, the Brooklyn Nets are still probably the second most popular team in New York. Out of 2. To a Knicks team that's finally at 500 at an All-Star break for the first time since 2012. Like, how inferior must you guys be? Like, how inferior are fans of the Brooklyn Nets that this is the season, this is what it is, and what you have is a collection of 4 superstars who will never be able to do it without something else. Now, to all of you LeBron haters, because I know there's going to be LeBron haters, and for the 3 people that watch this, If any of you feel like commenting below and calling me out on my opinion on this, when was the last time? Name somebody else that took Rodney Hood, Matthew Dellavedova, freaking Larry Nance Jr., whatever that team was, to an NBA Finals. Did he win? No. But the last person in my memory that did that was Allen Iverson. So in my lifetime, I have two. I have Allen Iverson and I have LeBron James. Kobe Bryant always had somebody else. I know, like, we all like to forget about how good Pau Gasol was and all the rest of it, but you will look at some of these LeBron teams and just go like, fuck, those teams were bad. So now I'm back on the B-side, the Brooklyn B-side Nets. Not quite a hit. They're not going to win. They're going to get dominated by somebody. There's going to be an alpha male out that's going to dominate them, bend them the fuck over, give them the strap on. I'm pretty sure that James Harden, he likes to dance to the poles at the clubs. He doesn't actually like to go in there and spend money on the strippers. Kyrie Irving, once he left Cleveland, he grew that third eye and realized that the world is flat, because finally he was able to express the feelings that nobody thought he should express, because LeBron was able to tell him that it wasn't a good idea to talk about them. And then Blake. Oh, Blake Griffin. I hope your comedy career goes well, because your NBA career is a bit of a shambles. You were at the Clippers during that what is it, the Lob era. Lob City. Sorry, I forgot about you, because you were an important team in the grand scheme of things, and nobody will remember you in 10 years' time. But Lob City, you got some great highlights. It's a combination of your great dunks and DeAndre Jordan's great dunks. So you mentioned in the same breath as DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, I mean, like, is that where you jumped over the hood of a car? For the guy who is supposedly one of the greatest dunkers of all time, you couldn't have dunked over the actual car? Wasn't it like a Buick as well? Like, I mean, does that not encapsulate your career? And then when you were playing, I think, was it with the Pistons? Maybe it was with the Clippers, where you broke your hand punching your best friend in the face? He was a trainer. You punched a personal trainer in the face who was one of your best friends, and you broke your hand. Your career's never been the same since, and you had, like, I always remember, because I wrote for daily fantasy and fantasy sites for a while, and I have my picks of the day. Sherbet was first 3 weeks of the season, played Blake Griffin, MVP of the first 3 weeks of every single NBA season. And then it would come time for, like, the real play, for, like, the real season to get started, and, like, Blake Griffin would just go back to being Blake Griffin, and you'd just be like, all right, like, he seems like he's really good. He's one of those players. I have a list of players. It's Blake Griffin, Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony. I really don't want to put Chris Paul on that list, but I'm going to put Chris Paul on that list. Right now, Giannis. Players that will put up insane numbers and will ultimately make the Hall of Fame in their career. Blake, maybe not. It's probably the most fringe out of all of those. But they're going to put, and James Harden. They're going to put up ridiculous numbers, but they're never going to win anything. There's a fundamental hole in their game. Melo's hole in his game is just that he was all him. He's just not a winner. All of these guys, they're just not winners. And I argue with people all the time, but they're like, oh, but they're such great players and all the rest of it. And this is where people struggle with me, and I struggle with other people, because it's difficult for us to understand each other. But sports are about winning. If you don't win, you're nothing. And if you don't win the NBA title, the Super Bowl, the World Series, like, you really aren't successful. Like, I'm sorry, Lamar Jackson. That year that you won the MVP and you lost the Titans or whoever it was, like, that wasn't a successful year. Like, it just wasn't. James Harden, when you won those two, was it back-to-back MVPs, or or something like that, and you led the league in scoring and you had those ridiculous scoring numbers, and yet your team couldn't beat the Golden State Warriors again and again and again, and then they shaped the entire franchise around beating the Golden State Warriors and you couldn't. And then last year, when like you traded away your center and you were just like, oh, we're going to be all unconventional. I know this isn't all on James Harden. It was kind of on Daryl Morey as well. And then you guys still couldn't beat the fucking Lakers. You got annihilated by them. Come on, guys. It's about winning. It's not about anything else. Like Golden State Warriors, it was never going to work, guys, until they won. And that's why we respect them. Why do you think people still put Jordan above LeBron? Because he won consistently when he got into the playoffs. Like, he got into the playoffs and he won the championship. That was it. Like, that's the only reason why you can point to Jordan being better than LeBron. There is literally no other earthly method that you can point to. Well, he was a crybaby. Jordan did it for one team. None of these things matter. Like, the fact that he can go to a different team and win it with a new collection of players is impressive. Crybaby, not crybaby, different times, whatever. It's going to 6 playoffs, winning 6 rings. That's it. That's literally the only thing that you can point to. The numbers are all in favor of LeBron. So, and that's the reason why LeBron's so great, is because he's been in the NBA for 18 seasons, and I think he's made the playoffs 17 of those 18 seasons, or 16 of those 18 seasons, or something ridiculous like that. And that's my rant about the Brooklyn B-side Nets. They are a bunch of losers who will lose this year. I can guarantee you that they will lose. There's going to be one guy with a bigger dick than the 4 of them, and he's going to bend them over in a playoff series, and he's just going to spread those cheeks and stick it inside of them. Whether that's Joel Embiid, whether that's Giannis Antetokounmpo, who I kind of hope. I would love to see him. He's a likable guy. He needs to shoot 3-pointers. Whether it's Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Kemba Walker, whether it's Julius Randle. Like, come on, but it's not Julius Randle. Julius Randle's a stat stuffer. I'm a Knicks fan, but I have to be realistic about these things. But yeah, somebody's gonna just dismantle them, and I can't wait to see it, because they're just a bunch of insecure guys who are going to get together and talk a lot of shit. And, congrats. The one thing I will say is that the addition of Blake Griffin does give them some height depth, which is what they needed. So if I am to be proved wrong, it's about the fact that they have some height depth, which they didn't have anybody besides DeAndre Jordan. But Blake Griffin has never been a defensive player in his career. And so I stick by my point that it's not going to work out. I'm going to stick with my preseason picks of the Lakers and the Celtics. And the Celtics are really trying to prove me wrong this year, but just wait for it. You just wait for it. Don't wait for it. I'll be wrong. I promise you I'll be wrong. All right. Now into something a little bit different. It's getting nice out, so we can get outside. So everybody's favorite time of the year, where things turn from snowy, miserable, cold mess to sunshine. When I say everybody's favorite time of the year, girls can let loose a little bit. Guys, we could look at girls letting loose. This year, there's the added bonus of people wearing masks, so you can even look at the ugly chicks. If that's a little bit too on the nose, my bad, ladies. But in the past, you could look at somebody, you could really enjoy the view, and you could be like, wow, she is a hottie. And then you see her face, and you're like, all right, she is not hot. I can't look at the rest of her body anymore. But now, every woman's attractive, so you can just look at everybody. I remember at the beginning of this whole pandemic, sometime March, April, right, where everybody was out, everybody was becoming a marathon runner or just a walker or whatever else, just to get some fresh air, and every woman was wearing a mask, and you was just just don't take off the mask. And now we're at that point where you're just like if you keep on the mask, maybe you should just always keep on the mask. Maybe I don't want to know what's underneath. Everything is working for me right now, and you took off the mask, and there we go. That's not so good. Now, that being said, that's coming from somebody with this hairline. I get it. I'm not really the person to talk. I'm just telling you what we think, We do enjoy a good summer dress, or we do enjoy a good pair of yoga pants. I'm not the first person to say this. I won't be the last person to say this. Except for now, if the body and the face don't match, don't matter. You're just attractive. Keep that mask on all the time. Let's get it sewn on. Let's keep it there. It's only going to benefit you. There are some. I've had two occasions where I've looked at a girl and just been like, I'm not sure you're attractive. Then she took off the mask. I'm like, wow, what a piece. But usually it works the other way around, where you're looking at somebody and you're like, damn, she has got a body. And then she takes off the mask and you're like, man, her body's really not that good. I could take it or leave it. I'm just like not too enthralled by her, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, I could, but you all know how that is. Like, but also, having said all of that and been a little bit chauvinistic here at the beginning of all of this, I'm going to curb this and I'm going to sound like a normal human being, or at least try and win some of you back that I've just lost. I've gotten to that stage where, you know, I've just turned 30. Woo, big 3-0, yeah. Recently, and really dedicated this year to, you know, personal growth and all the rest of it. So, you know, a lot of savings, a lot of, you know, rededication to my Ironman training and that sort of stuff. You know, I'm dabbling in the market a little bit, but, you know, when I say investments and savings and all the rest of it, that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about my IRA contributions and ETFs and my savings account and, you know, all of that fun, good stuff, you know. And, you know, the thing that I found more and more and more is that while women and girls my age will continue to preach, you know, forward thinking for women and women, you know, making their way through society and becoming equals and all the rest of it. I still keep hearing like, you know, I want a man that, you know, that can pay for things and, you know, can take care of me and all the rest of it. Well, I'm here to tell you that I want a woman that wants to sit down with me every month and go over my savings goals, your savings goals. You know, I want us to have, you know, joint accounts and figure out, you know, like, all right, so like this month we have $1,000 or $2,000 for us to do what we want to do, and you know, if it's $1,000 and 700's for you and 300's for me, then that's the way it is because I'm a cheap date. But that's more attractive to me than, you know, sitting down and paying for things. You know, I don't want to get into a relationship with somebody that's you know, quite simply just relying on me. You know, if you're struggling to make rent. And you have a job and you're spending all of your money on all of your loves and all of that, you know, if that's drinking, going out, you know, all the rest of it, you know, then, you know, that's a real negative quality. Like, that's not the world that we live in. Like, we have to work together, you know. Also, I come from a family where my mom's the main breadwinner, but, you know, my mom is a female neurosurgeon that lives on a weekly allowance. So just take that in for a second. My mom, who is a fucking godsend of a woman, like, you know, really, you don't make them much more driven, much better than my mom. She makes the money for the family. She has done for a while. They moved out to Cleveland, so that way she could, you know, take on her retirement job, so to speak, the last job that she has before she retires. My dad, bless his soul, is a very intelligent human being. He's a molecular biologist. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think he retired when I was like 10, 12. If you guys watch this and you guys want to call me out of my timeline, fine, fair enough. Sorry. And since then, you know, he does the accounting for the family. Funnily enough, my mom's the Jewish one. He's not, but he does the accounting. You know, and yet each week she takes out a certain amount of cash, and that's the money that she has to spend for the week. I mean, you know, that's that sort of relationship for me, like, that's a turn on. Sorry, I'm not talking about my parents. I know how that just sounded. Like, their relationship is not a turn on for me. That would be sick. But the way that they conduct themselves in the relationship is a turn on for me. Like, that's what I'm looking for in a relationship these days. I'm not looking for some girl that's just like, well, you're paying for dinner. Like, I hear that you make enough money to pay for my dinner. Or, like, you deserve to pay for my dinner. It's like, fuck you. You also make money. If you're not willing, like, if you want to work on things together, then this is what we're working on together. We're working on you making money, me making money, how we save money, what our future goals are, and how we accomplish those together. Going back to Rich, he made a great point. He was dating somebody, and she was just like, wouldn't it be great if like it was just kind of like you? Like I'm thinking like if it was just like you that worked, and then like I did it, and he was just like, yeah, that's fine, we could do that. But I expect when I come home for there to be food on the table. And, we're not taking the vacation here, we're going, or, wherever you want, we're taking the vacation within the country that we live in. And, it's a good point, and you may say that sounds chauvinistic, but I understand it 100%. Like, if you're going to stay at home, then, like, your contribution to our relationship is that you provide for me after I provide for you. You didn't say, like, when you come home, you're in French maid's outfit, I just get my cock out and you suck it. That's not what he said. He said, I expect that you have dinner ready for me. Like, that's a simple, easy solution for the fact that I am going to be working a 60, 70-hour work week in order to support both of us, So in summation of this point, like, I think women just need to, if you want to be equal, then, like let's be equal. And, I think this, it's breaking through the glass ceiling, very important thing, and here we are on International Women's Month or National Women's Month or whatever, Women's Month. And I think it's commendable the way how women have come up through the world. But now your mentalities all have to equal that. So if you want equality in jobs, then you have to stop looking for security financially for men. Like, those two things, they're not a puzzle piece that matches up. So once you get past that, once we can all get past this together, then I think that things will be good. Anyways, I think I've probably offended enough people on this episode. Hopefully some of these hot takes are enough to get me more than 4 views, which I think is where my last video is at. I think that this is where... I don't think. This is more of me than the last one was. The last one was a little bit down, depressing. Let's talk mental health. This one's like, fuck mental health. So I'm going to put this one out. I'm also going to clip it up into my 3 different segments. There was definitely 3 different segments, and I'll put those out individually as well. I will be releasing some rants. Hopefully I'll come home tonight and, get something off the chest. This is a great way for me to talk. At least now I can look at myself and realize how ugly I am. It's a great thing to do because I like to lie to myself. Look at that fucking hairline, man. Woo-wee. The great thing is that I don't even have a light on. I don't even have a light on, and you can see right there, that shininess. That is beautiful. Anyways, this is a great way for me to sit down and just talk to myself, but talk to you, but talk to whatever, and just get a couple of things off my chest. As always, please hit the like, the subscribe. It's down below. And I'd love to get some people's opinions, feedbacks, whatever else. I know I'm really late to this YouTube game, but hopefully if you sit down and watch it, then you'll enjoy it. And if you don't, my bad. These are my opinions. All right, take it easy, guys. This has been Dan, and this is the Bird in the Hand podcast.